let's say on tech, but not talk about where tech is investing, but rather how the tech is playing with the media these days. Perhaps some of our viewers not familiar with the effort underway over at Andreessen Horowitz to create a new media arm for venture as that industry continues to mature into its next cycle. We saw the consumer unicorn wave come and go. A number of those companies have come public, and the industry really thinking about what is next for them. Yahoo Finance editor-in-chief Andy Serwer joins us now to discuss. And Andy, you wrote about this in your column over the weekend. And, the headline is that tech is kind of taking over the news media. I'm curious how you are seeing this initiative, especially the one from A16Z, which you wrote about quite a bit in the piece.
Yeah, Miles, maybe the headline should have been "Tech is eating the media world," which would be a play off of Mark Andreessen's "Software is eating the world" famous essay he did in the Wall Street Journal a number of years ago. I mean, first of all, people understand that the tech world and the media world are melding, but I don't think people understand the totality of how tech is actually sort of taking over media. And it's doing it in three ways. First of all, even just leaving aside the social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And if you counted them, they would be the biggest media companies in the world, and all the other media companies in the world wouldn't even add up to them. That's number one. Number two, of course, is tech buying legacy media brands like the Washington Post, and that would be Jeff Bezos, Lifetime magazine, Time magazine would be Mark Benioff, and then The Atlantic with Laurene Powell Jobs. But even more than that, Silicon Valley has been investing in new media companies for a long time, like Medium, creating the Medium and The Intercept, HuffPost, BuzzFeed, Axios. And then there's a new crop, of course, TikTok, Substack, and Clubhouse. All these companies are more or less either the creations or have been invested in or controlled to a degree by Silicon Valley. And I think that, this has huge, huge implications. And then Andreessen Horowitz is a big player in many of those deals.
Andy, what type of content are they creating?
Well, it's kind of all over the place, and a lot of it is cutting edge stuff, sort of depending on where the business is headed. I've talked about podcasts a little bit in the piece because at one point digital media valuations looked like they were topped out. Then there was a whole other wave which included podcasts and those new companies that I mentioned, TikTok, Substack, and Clubhouse. So when it comes to what kind of companies are creating, they're focusing more on distribution. Now, as far as the content itself goes, then you get into the in-house kind of content that's been created at places like Sequoia, and especially Andreessen Horowitz, which Miles mentioned is actually setting up right now a whole media business that is captive inside Andreessen Horowitz, and that is going to be about tech and tech writ large, which is to say crypto, biotech, and software and hardware.
And I guess, Andy, also, I think what's interesting about these pursuits is that if you think about the internet, there's no wrapper on the internet. Go back to Fortune magazine, where you worked for a long time. You get Fortune, it says Fortune, and then there's stuff in there. You're like, oh, this is all Fortune content. But now on the internet, you just sort of happen across anything at any time. You don't exactly know where it's from. So I guess on that background, it makes sense that these types of outfits say, hey, we can invest, some small sum for our operating costs to just say the stuff ourselves. And if people like it, then it's fine. They don't really know the difference maybe between Yahoo Finance article or Wall Street Journal or something that's written by A16Z.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different blurring lines there that you just sort of brought up, Miles. I mean, first of all, Andreessen Horowitz investing in Clubhouse and Substack, and you're seeing Mark Andreessen and Ben Horowitz, participating in Clubhouse conversations. So that's number one. And then the content that Andreessen Horowitz is actually going to be creating in-house, I mean, let's not call that journalism. And not that they have, because it's not going to be critical of the firm or their portfolio companies or even tech writ large, the general tech environment. It's going to be, they said, an optimistic view of the business. So, that is native content, essentially. And some of it's very interesting and very compelling. I mean, they really do explain things you might not know, but just don't confuse it with journalism. So it's kind of a different and new world. And, I think that there's also a part of this where there's, and Julie mentioned this, the adversarial relationship between tech and journalism, which we've seen. And I think a lot of that had to do with tech being so lionized up to the 2016 election. And then since then, there's been much more knocking of heads.
Yeah, I know that you and I could talk about all this stuff for another couple hours. We'll spare our viewers that, but I think that adversarial conversation is a very interesting one because I think that goes one way when maybe the reality on the ground is that it is that relationship may be indeed another. All right, Yahoo Finance editor-in-chief Andy Serwer. You can see Andy's full piece on yahoofinance.com. Andy, appreciate the time.
Thanks.